Thank you. Please kindly take your seats. Once again, my name is Ronald Kachave, also known as Justice Hunter, and I'll be moderating today's session. Within the interest of time, allow me to welcome the representative of the CEO Uganda Law Society as Afla Appeal to come and share with us today. Thank you.
Our distinguished guests today, Advocate Zawedi Lukwago Lubwama, Dr. Patricia Tim Podong, Dr. Sarah Birete, the Governing Council of Uganda Law Society, Mr. Anthony Asimwe, the Vice President, Mr. Sali Babu, the Acting Secretary, Mr. Isiko Arthur, the Treasurer, Mr. Emmanuel Egaru Omiat, Council Representative, ULS Northern Bar, and council members joining us online, our members of the Uganda Law Society, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Apio Afra. I'm the head role of law, Uganda Law Society. I bring you warm greetings from the CEO, Ms. Christine Awori, who is unable to be with us this morning owing to an equally important engagement. My chief task this morning is to read to you her opening remarks verbatim. On behalf of the Uganda Law Society, I welcome you to this week's Radical New Bar, weekly press and public engagement. Today's discussion concerns troubling circumstances following the abduction and enforced disappearance of our colleague, Senior Advocate, Honorable Elias Lukwago, from his home on Monday in Wakaliga. Although he was eventually produced before Makindye Chief Magistrate's Court yesterday and charged, the manner of his arrest and detention raises serious concerns about respect for due process, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. As lawyers, we must ask, what message is being sent when an advocate is abducted and being held incommunicado? What does it mean for the independence of the legal profession when lawyers become targets simply for carrying out their professional duty of representing clients? The Uganda Law Society will continue to speak up against abduction, enforced disappearance, and the issue of political prisoners. We stand in solidarity with Honorable Lukwago, his family, and every advocate who finds themselves vulnerable for doing their job. Today's discussion is held under the theme, When the Bar Becomes a Battlefield, Sisters Standing for Lukwago and Every Vulnerable Advocate. We are particularly honored to be joined by Mrs. Lukwago. Thank you for accepting our invitation and for being with us today. We thank the women lawyers leading this conversation, the wider legal fraternity, and the law students joining us both physically and online. The defense of the rule of law requires courage, solidarity, and a collective voice. Together, we must continue to speak out against injustice and defend the independence of the bar. Together, our voices can make a difference. I thank you and welcome you to today's discussion. Signed, Christine Awori, CEO, Uganda Law Society.
Thank you so much for those gracious welcome, and please also allow me to recognize the presence of comrade fighters and people who have always been a team for Dr. Kano Kizabechize and Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago. That's Counsel Baker and Counsel Proscovia Kunhila. They have not given up. They always fighters. And it is a very key thing. It's a very painful week. Well, imagine you're in your home and you're going to serve someone and then someone comes before you serve them. I normally do service as an advocate and they explain to people the summons and the purpose. But when a person refuses, I look at them and they abuse me, I look at them to be so stupid. Then what about that one who plans to arrest you even before you serve them? Surely they have nothing in their head. So we are in a very sad situation, and but it calls for aggressiveness to end such impunity in our country. Allow me for that. I'll not peep into the speech of the Vice President, Uganda Law Society, Mr. Anthony Asimwe. Please, kindly welcome him in advance.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Our guest today, I like referring to you as Nalongo, Council Zawede Lukwago, the president of the Radical Nuba, who I'm very sure is following us online, the council members present, those online, members of the bar who are with us here, and those following us online, the members of the Secretariat, under the able leadership of the Chief Executive Officer, Madam Christina Awori, in her absentia, the Fourth Estate, the team that has always been here with us from day one, and members of the public who are always following us and following these events, who I'm very sure are still with us, because as you're aware, the Rnblive event has been one of our forefront approaches to promoting digital transformation, where we engage with the members of the public out there and discuss the issues that really affect a rule of law, good governance in this country. Nalongo, our guest for today, we stand with you and family. We cannot imagine what you could be going through, you and your family, especially after witnessing that kind of gruesome arrest, abduction of your dear husband, who is also a member just like you are. But then again also, we do take note of your resilience, recognize your resilience, the fact that you're still here, you're fighting on, and you're as strong as you are. We'd also love to recognize the resilience of other women who have had to suffer these ordeals. If you remember, early January, we had the two ladies, the vice presidents of NUP, Zedriga, who is currently the vice president for NUP, as well as the Western vice president who had disappeared. They were abducted in a similar manner. They disappeared off the scene. If they share their orders and their story, it's hard to take. We also remember Babi Chagulanyi, who went through a similar ordeal that probably Nalongo could be going through when her husband was being hunted, being threatened, and she had to be left in a home alone. The children had to leave the home because of the environment, because of the fear. And it reached a point where these people broke into, attacked her, a defenseless woman. And as a country, we need to reflect on this. It's beyond the people we see, the person we see. Look at the impact it has on the women. That is why today we chose to forecast women, because we want to understand why they are also becoming targets. Probably before, it is something that we've always taken for granted, something that we've not looked at in a similar manner, that we should be doing that now. That is why we call upon the solidarity of every Ugandan. A woman plays a very big role in society, and the fact that we are seeing this perpetration, this kind of impunity, not leaving anyone, even our mothers, it's really painful. So we really do stand with you, appreciate your resilience, and also want to encourage you that you're not alone in this fight. Dr. Patricia, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. We're always excited to hear from you and see the true representation of that gender of the woman. You're also a sign of resilience and strength and power. We should stop looking at women as a weaker gender because what they have to deal with, especially in times like this. And that's why you call upon all of them to come up, to learn from the women we've seen come up in the struggle and fight these vices. To other victims of lawlessness in this country, our prayers are with you. And we do believe that the work we are doing every day to ensure that justice shall come will eventually result in liberty, freedom, and prosperity for all. Now, focusing on today's topic, when the law becomes a battlefield, is something that we've not only talked about today, we've not only decided to focus today. From the 27th of September, 2024, when the members, the lawyers, the members of the bar decided to endorse the radical new bar in something we call the revolution. There was a reason as to why. And it was timely, it wasn't by mistake. This is a revolution we dubbed the Rnblive Vision 2060 because of the atrocities we've been seeing. And to be specific and a bit selfish, the impact on the legal profession in Uganda, the impact on the independence of the legal profession and the practice of law in the country. That is why we are saddened by the abduction, the violent manner in which our member, Council Elias Lukwago, was handled. And this was clearly done to try and intimidate not only him, but the members of the public, the members of the bar, to try and divert us from doing our work. And as you're aware, the first time we saw these threats, we've seen this happen before. We saw Aaron Kiza being arrested and, taken in the course of representing a client. Early January, we saw another member, Kato Tumsime, who had gone to visit a client, Babi Chagulanyi, was also intimidated, arrested in a similar manner. Just a few weeks ago, we saw threats from the CDF threatening our member, Kale Baraka, for simply representing a client, Honorable Anita Mong. And now, some of the things that we kept taking for granted or thinking maybe they will pass, they continue, and we see the person of Elias Lukwago, a senior member of the bar, someone everyone has always looked up to, every young lawyer, majority of them being abducted in the course of his work. What was his mistake? What was his offense? At a time, as we saw from the tweets, the unfortunate tweets that followed by the CDF, bragging that he has him in his, basement, sharing disturbing photos, that he attempted to serve him, court summons, and is threatening. Now, to our disappointment, a lawyer is an officer of court. He's simply doing his job. And I want to believe that these summons were actually not even issued by the lawyer, by Elias Lukwago. They were issued by a court, by the judiciary. To our disappointment, the silence from that part of the judiciary is so loud. They're not bothered. Instead, these institutions, specifically the judiciary, they work hand in hand with the oppressor to actually execute what the oppressor wants to do, to execute their intentions. We've been here talking about what we call police to prison pipeline. I think now it's high time we added basement, police, prison, pipeline. Because under normal circumstances, we've had, several discussions. Last night we had a space, you're welcome, where the president was our keynote speaker, gave a clear explanation of what we've been talking about. And a bit of a reminder, if you remember the opening of the new lawyer, we again highlighted this as the major problem, a major concern, practicing law under military rule. And the fact that these institutions have allowed, in fact, they are conniving with these lawbreakers to promote military rule, even in the area of justice, administration of justice. The fact that all these institutions are under capture, they do not serve the interests of the citizens as they should, because those are there, that's the major role. We see the office of the DPP. It is really unfortunate that a person who has been abducted in such a manner is going to turn up with a charge sheet prepared and presented in court by the Director of Public Prosecutions. That is why yesterday during our space we did communicate what we did, the fact that we wrote to the DPP demanding that he immediately withdraws those charges, because you cannot sanction a charge arising out of an illegality. The law is very clear, and these are public officers being paid by taxpayers' money. Their ultimate role should be to protect the citizens, the rights of individuals and citizens. Unfortunately, that comes secondary or nowhere. You fail to understand where we're headed as a country. But like I said, we did give a warning about this. We saw this coming because you could tell the repeated patterns of these abductions, the threats, the intimidation, and the fact that at our doorstep, intimidating members of the bar. Yet, we forget that Uganda is signatory to several international covenants that mandate us to respect the principles and even our constitution. We have domesticated these provisions. So we do believe the involvement of the military in these civilian matters is completely unconstitutional, and any attempt to intimidate or interfere with members of the bar, with lawyers or legal practitioners in exercise of their mandate, violates various provisions of the law, like Article 20 of the Constitution, Article 40, Sub-Article 2, and 221. The Constitution gives every person a right to practice their profession without any interference, without any intimidation. But for the members of the bar, for the lawyers, it even goes beyond that. The UN Basic Principles on the Role of Lawyers, as well as the IBS standards on the independence of the legal profession, are very clear. Now, like I talked about the DPP, we see someone being presented in court with, these flimsy charges, like they've always done, and sent to prison. You wonder what was wrong. Is it a must that whoever is presented to court must be sent to prison? Why do we have a judicial officer? And incidentally, most of these judicial officers these days are women, by the way. The majority now, the numbers have grown. Would have expected them to do better than the male counterparts. Probably they'll be more compassionate. They'll be more they'll be more human. They'll have a human face. But unfortunately, we are seeing the opposite. I wouldn't be surprised if even in the DPP, the majority are now women. So this is a serious indictment on us. Where are we taking this country? Why are we given these responsibilities? Because so many things are the non-knowns. Everyone is going to come and talk about the Constitution. And again, when you look at the charges, why should a lawyer be connected? All of us know that Elias Lukwago is representing Dr. Kiza Besigye. He's his advocate. But you're bringing charges where you're alleging that he got information from his client, which he did not report. Who doesn't know that even if that were true, as an advocate, as a lawyer, I cannot divulge information of my client. I have a duty. I owe duty to my client. So are you trying to say that because some of us are criminal practitioners, probably all of us are going to be arrested? Because if I'm representing a client and the client tells me that, I actually did it, and he's explaining, or I get some information through interviewing him, should I go and report and say, this is my client, but please arrest him? You can imagine the hypocrisy of these lawyers, because these are equally lawyers. So probably we need to reflect and know that we are also a problem to society, as some people have already stated. Again, I don't want to go too much into the detail. I want to emphasize what the president talked about and called fragmentation during the speech, the keynote address last night. That as we are faced with these vices, we have a big challenge where very many people think they can work in silos instead of coming together, and we approach this vice together. At the end of the day, we end up being scattered. That is why even when we have events like this, sometimes you try to involve certain people you feel should also communicate, should also be part of this. But they imagine, for us we are doing, something different. We are doing it differently. At the end of the day, you cannot fight an enemy like that. We are fighting a common enemy. So this is a big problem. We shall continue emphasizing it and calling upon all those who feel disturbed by this. Everyone is disturbed, of course. The other day we saw lawyers calling for a strike, and we were saying, okay, yes, but we also respect the autonomy. We expected to see, probably maybe they are not yet angry enough to take on that strike. So the leadership we've been offering is pointing out this wrong. The beauty about it is that even people thought this was far off from them, it's coming to their doorsteps. For the steps you've been following, what we've done since Monday, after getting the information under the leadership of the president, who is away, all of you are aware that the president is away in exile, for obvious reasons, speaking out against these vices, and the fact that the same institutions that should be joining are the same institutions that are used to actually fight the people who are fighting for them, simply because a judicial officer who felt uncomfortable with the criticism decided to say, this man should be in prison. And we agreed, we knew that lawyers were not ready at a time to be led by a president when he's in prison. We knew they were not ready. We had a discussion and agreed that it's better to be outside. We have the digital platforms, we can do that. Because most of us are probably cowards, most of us do not, That's why you see the people have always come out to speak very first time when certain things happen, are silent on an issue like this. And I'll not shy off from, apart from a few, castigating our senior members of the bar. They've before come out with joint statements. I remember when the president was being accused of using bad language against the DPP, they were quick to condemn. They were quick to go on TV, radio, and say all these things. I don't know how many, I don't remember how many documents I saw. Female lawyers, something, senior counsel, bar, all those. But with this scenario, we've not seen any. Instead, we are seeing, solidarity, not from the law school, Makerere Law School, which was impressive. Even students are doing better than some of our colleagues because they understand. So those people have been here pretending, lying to us that they are fighting for us or they are speaking for us. Now we know why they fall. But then we call upon them to come up and redeem themselves. Because if we do not come together, then we are not going to fight this. And we've already said this, in a lawless society, lawyers have no place. No client will come to you to seek redress. Imagine a client you've been representing, probably at police. They see you being picked up like that, being treated like that. You think that client will come back to you? They will know that, even a lawyer, by the time my lawyer has been picked like this, how about me? In any case, they will know you cannot provide a solution for them if you cannot provide a solution for yourself. So this is a very serious problem that we need to take on. And as the Radical New Bar Governing Council, we are ready to offer the necessary leadership. We're ready to take the steps. That is why we said we have the Radical New Bar Vision 2060, to have a nation where the rule of law is respected, where due process is respected, where we have an independent bar, where we're allowed to practice in an environment completely different from this. It is so bad that these things are happening during our time, but probably it's also a test of our resilience to see how much or how we can get out of this. So the various steps we've taken as the leadership, we saw us write to the CDF himself and the head of legal, initially demanding for the immediate release of our member. But then we also demanded for certain things we've not yet seen, a public undertaking by the UPDF that lawyers will not be targeted, threatened, or arrested for representing clients or for serving court processes, because we've seen these intimidations, and we demand that the CDF comes out. We demand that the UPDF comes out and give us an undertaking publicly that lawyers will not be threatened in the course of their work. But then we also demanded for immediate intervention by the Chief Justice and the Attorney General, because this directly touches those offices. We expect them to guarantee the security of all counsel, judges, and litigants. Under Article 128, which provides for a right to a fair hearing, we want to see a complete end to the interference of trial processes by the military, because we believe an attack on an advocate is an attack on the entire bar and the rule of law itself in the country. That is why we took these steps. And if you notice also, on Tuesday the 16th, we were supposed to have a bar bench meeting. We had been invited to have a bar bench meeting, but we're disappointed by the fact that something like this happens and the people we're supposed to sit with on the table are quiet, are silent. The silence was louder. That is why we said, no, we need commitment from you. This is the beginning line. This is where we start from. Because you're acting like that's none of your concern. It is only our concern. And just like we had predicted, we saw this happen. I mean, Elias Lukwago is right now in prison, sent by lawyers. We are the ones who are normalizing this kind of impunity. We are the ones who are the forefront of encouraging this impunity to continue. And we must say, we must put an end to this. It is our problem. We must solve this problem. If we do not, no one is going to do that for us. So without seeing these demands, we are still determined to seek all the relevant legal remedies, including regional and international recourse, should we fail to get recourse here. Because, I mean, yesterday, while meeting the Prince Kasim Nachibinge, Judge Usiram, we had to go and meet him to seek intervention, because we believe this is something other people, not just lawyers, should take on: religious leaders, cultural leaders, even traditional leaders, everyone. And I was amazed by the fact that he demonstrated, less confidence in our judiciary. Clearly stating that, if I have a case, I don't think I'm comfortable filing it in court because I don't think I'll get a remedy. So, judiciary, please, you need to restore the public confidence in what you're doing, because these other things we've been seeing of mob justice and people taking the law into their hands is one of the reasons, the results of this kind of situation where we allow lawlessness and fail to do the job we're supposed to do. People expect justice. If they cannot get justice from you, then what are they doing there? So as the Radical New Bar Governing Council, under the leadership of our able president, we are continuing with this fight. That is why you also saw us announce a strike, which we announced, by the way, earlier. We announced it on the 2nd of June, after seeing the decision from the Constitutional Court in the Farouk case, nullifying Section 11 of the Human Rights Enforcement Act. And you can imagine, after that has been nullified, less than how many, than a week, I think, 2 weeks, we are seeing even a member of the bar being abducted in a gruesome manner, tortured, and you expect to bring this person to court. And this evidence is taken. It's like climbing stairs. You climb, 2 stairs, you go 10 back. Because of that disappointment, we've been building up on this. That is why we announced that strike, that we shall all lay down our tools, because it will be a special day, when the whole world recognizes torture victims. It's the World Anti-Torture Day. And that is the way we chose to celebrate it. And this comes in between. So even when members were, calling for, we need to strike now, I said, yes, in fact, we support them. The ULS House is here. We are open to supporting all the members who choose to come with these initiatives because we understand the anger. And we shall soon be releasing the whole program from that day, but we decided to dedicate that day to all the torture victims, the families of these torture victims. People have been disappeared since the early 2020s. We've never seen them. We don't know where they are. We see people being presented in court with wounds. The Eddie Mutuez come to court. You saw the situation, and you're saying, as the judiciary, as the judge, you're saying, this law is bad. Because the other people need justice. Yes, we know the people need justice. But now, on whose side are you? Or what was the intention of this law coming into place? To protect the citizens from such occurrences. There's a reason as to why we developed the law up to that level. But now they are taking us back to dark days. So colleagues, I was meant to just give welcome remarks, but I decided it's very hard not to speak about some of these things when I have an opportunity to be here. And as I conclude and welcome you, I'd like once again to thank our members of the Governing Council in a very special way, because they've sacrificed their time, they've left their practice. Some of our colleagues are comfortable in their law firms working, even with the anger, but they've had to step up and take on this fight at the expense of their personal work, especially the ones we have here today. I thank you very much, and I do welcome you once again to the Uganda Law Society House and call upon each and every one of us. Each and every one of us has a role to play. Let us not wait for marching orders from anywhere or anyone. We have a role to play, and we can make a difference. I thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Vice President, for those great opening remarks and how you clearly substantiated that as lawyers we have to stand and be fearless. If we say it's a strike, let it be a strike, other than being empty vessels. So, having heard from the elephant of the area himself, allow me recognize the presence of the lion himself, that is Senior Counsel, the President, Uganda Law Society, Isaac Semakade. He's online. I'm informed he's comfortably and strongly watching this session. And also allow me to recognize the presence of Dr. Atim Patricia, who has just joined us. We are extremely humbled. Whenever you're here, we know what it means. And also allow me, this is a day for women lawyers to stand up, ladies to stand up with our Mama Zawedi. So allow me also to recognize Judith Atim, the head of program at the Center for Constitutional Governance. Please, you are most welcome. Also, allow me to welcome Namitali Linz of LASPNet. You are also highly welcome. And the colleague joining us next is called Iron Lady. She's fearless. She has been with Council Elias Lukwago all the times. She used to mobilize us and take lead before that General Court Martial, which would fully disarm us as lawyers. She has been a former contestant as a honorable MP in Kibale District, where you hear the former Minister of Finance, Matia Kasaija. You can imagine how she has been going through that tough fight. Some time back, she was FDC, and then she said, last time, that was PFF, and Kibale District is our father or mother district for Kakumiro District, because Kakumiro was disbanded from Kibale District and Kagadi District. So I respect her so much. She's a practicing advocate who has been in all those farms that know what it takes Lukwago and Company Advocates, Alaka and Company Advocates, please allow me welcome the Iron Lady, Honorable Council Cornelia Proscovia, to come and share with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our guest of honor today, Senior Counsel Zawedde Lukwago, the Vice President, Uganda Law Society, our President who is online, Rasta, I call him Rasta. Whenever I meet him, we have our way of communicating. Members of the bar present here today and those online. My former lecturer, Dr. Patricia Atim at Makerere University. My name is Proscovia Kunihira. I'm a practicing advocate. I'm a member of the People's Front for Freedom, and I head the legal desk at the Secretariat. I'd written down a few things, but I think I'll speak from the heart today. As he has said, I'm always with Senior Counsel, Elias Lukwago. I've known him for a very long time, actually, from law school. When I was at law school, and my colleague, Counsel Abubeka Sekanjako. So from law school, I did my internship from his law firm. And he taught me a lot of things. Everything I know about the law is Counsel Elias Lukwago. Everything. The strength, the drafting, the appearance in court, everything is under his mentorship. So I've been with him in all this. And most people call him my legal father. You know, everyone is calling me and asking me, how is your dad? How is your father? How is your legal father? And I'm like, he's fighting, he's strong. I've been with him in all these cases. I think most people have seen me with him. And it is so sad to see that he was kidnapped for representing his client, Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obed Lutale. For a small thing, he wanted to serve the CDF with court process. You know, he didn't issue the summons. He didn't give the court directions. Everything was done by Justice Baguma. His only crime is saying, we are going to serve the CDF. And as lawyers, we've all gone through this, all of us here. The only issue here, the only difference is that this is the CDF and it's in the limelight. But we all know when you go to serve court process as a lawyer, sometimes, as my colleague here, Katushabe, has said, sometimes you're abused, you go through all that. But because now it's the CDF, it becomes a different story. They kidnap you, take you to the basement, brag about it online, because I think we've all been getting updates on X for the time Senior Counsel has been in that illegal detention that is commonly known as the basement. We've been getting updates from X, and we've been seeing this as a tactic to threaten us as lawyers, who are, I think some of us who are on that legal team, the threats are directed to us. They want us maybe to step down or go in hiding or do what, I don't know. But I want to urge my colleagues who are on the legal team to be strong. You know, we fought from General Court Martial. The struggles we went through at the General Court Martial, I think everyone saw them. We fought so hard. Then we came to the normal courts and thought it would be different. But it's not. It is not. What has happened to Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago can happen to anyone. Whether you're handling these kinds of cases or not. This is an attack on the bar. It's an attack to everyone. Everyone, whether you're practicing law in Karamoja, or in Moroto, or down south in Kabale, it's an attack to everyone. And I want to call upon lawyers, wherever you are, stand with our colleague, stand with him in whatever capacity. If you can strike, if you can demonstrate, do it. If you can speak, do it. If you can go to Makshon Bay and visit him, please do. As lawyers, I want to see lawyers doing this, taking lead, because it's an attack on us. And the silent people, the judiciary, the Chief Justice, I don't know what's going on. They should come up and speak. Because it's not only on us, the lawyers, it's also the judiciary that is under attack. We've been threatened. I receive calls every day of Kunihira, are you safe? I receive those calls every day, even today. Are you okay? Are you safe? It's really sad. We don't want courts to be used as a tool of repression. Let's condemn that as lawyers. Because whatever happens to one lawyer will happen to everyone. Just because I'm representing a client and as it is, it's a treason case. So they expect me as a lawyer to come and disclose what my client has told me. What happened to my duty to the client? What happened to confidentiality? What happened to all these things? So because I've had a conversation with my client and they've told me certain things about an offense they are being charged with, I should come up and go and tell the state, this has happened. This is what is happening. So what happens to my innocent client? So my client is guilty even before going through court process. That is how it looks like. We condemn the actions of the CDF, the threats that are being directed to us on X. They are directed to both lawyers and court. And we urge him to stop. The law is the law. We didn't make these laws. As lawyers, we went to school, studied, And we are here to follow the law. We are not here to fight anyone. Whatever we do as lawyers is under the law. And we urge him to follow the law. If they are looking for him to serve him court process, that is what the court said. Court gave directions. Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago didn't do that. Any other lawyer on that legal team didn't do that. We were just following what the court told us to do. And when Senior Counsel Lukwago was kidnapped and taken to the basement, I always told people, the CDF has the wrong person in the basement. Because the person who summoned him was Justice Emmanuel Baguma, the judge of the High Court and the trial judge in the Kiza Besigye case. As simple as that. Since it's the Day of Women and we've been getting updates from X, maybe we should rightfully thank the wife, Charlotte, because we saw a tweet that said she's the one who convinced the CDF to release our colleague and senior counsel, Elias Lukwago. So as women, we recognize her and thank her for that. I think I've seen Parliament quiet. I don't know what the women are doing there. The women, the woman members of Parliament. Because we all see what Councillor Zawede is going through as women. And I'll urge all women to stand up and stand with her. She's going through a rough time. We all know Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago's health is not good. She's been taking care of him. She knows what time he eats, what time to rest, what time to work. She knows everything. Now he's in detention. She doesn't know what is going on. Let's stand with her. Let's comfort her. These are trying times. It can happen to anyone. This thing can happen to anyone, whether you are known in the country or not. We've seen kidnaps of people that are not known, people that have never stood up to speak. They've been kidnapped and taken away. Their whereabouts up to now are not known. So if it can happen to such a person, and you who has a voice to speak, you're silent, who will speak for them? I want to thank the Uganda Law Society. Thank you so much for standing with Senior Counsel. We also have the East African Law Society that has stood with us. We also have colleagues from Kenya, where our lead counsel, Martha Karua, comes from. They've also stood with us, colleagues from Tanzania, and all these other countries that are standing with us. But I urge Ugandans, the lawyers in Uganda, to take lead. Because the ones in Kenya, where our senior counsel is, all they can do is support. They can only support us, but let's take lead and fight this impunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Iron Lady, beloved Council Conhira Proscovia. And she raises out a lot of issues that we really look at. Service of summons, service of court documents. There is a friend here, he works under rule of law, Uganda Law Society, called Shamil Tabs Kamlegia. He's also normally referred to as grave digger. Now, grave digger told me one thing. He said that at one time the DPC at CPS called him and said, I want you to come and make a statement. That he replied to the CPS, to the DPC and said, I request to know, is your number on WhatsApp? He said yes. That if it is on WhatsApp, please, as I come, I'm going to serve you a notice of intention to sue for wrongful arrest, malicious prosecution, and other civil wrongs. So this raises questions. Should we change the style of practice? Or we should even start filing bail pending arrest? Because now the situation has changed, and like counsel poses it, the dilemma is too much. But we really appreciate those lawyers who have not given up, the comrades who still stand to give in the fight. As we get on to our next speaker, Doctor, I'll also recognize other members of the Council Uganda Law Society, also being headed by the Secretary General, Sali Babu, who are with us here. And the doctor we're inviting, Dr. Patricia, she's known to be, she's a PhD holder in disability studies from University of Cape Town in South Africa. And she's an enrolled practicing advocate, the courts of judicature. She also heads the legal aid unit of the Public Interest Law Clinic, PLAC, and she's a lecturer at Makerere University School of Law. In March 2026, she received the Independent Diamond Jubilee Medal, and she is dedicated for activism and human rights defending. That's really so great work by Dr. Atim Patricia. The last time I met her, when we were in a conference at Protea Hotel, she said this, that you cannot shave off the man's beard when he is not present. So we are not going to share to speak on your behalf. Please, Dr. Atim Patricia, come and share the beard verbally.
This is Uganda, where the Constitution is a suggestion. And Article 2 on supremacy is an inside joke they tell at State House on Fridays, where we say for God and my country, but really we mean the Godfather and his son. This is Uganda, where the hospitals are beautiful on the outside of the budget speech and empty on the inside of the words, where the oxygen runs out before the patient does, where the drip stand is there but the drip is not, where you're asked to bring your own gloves, your own gauze, your own reason to survive. This is Uganda, where a national rugby player, a man who carried this flag on his back on a field, dies at 2 p.m. on a public road, not in battle, in broad daylight, under our sun, under our watch, while someone films it and someone else keeps walking. Mob justice, they call it. We call it what it is, a country that has practiced so much impunity from the top that it trickled all the way down to the street, to the crowd, to the paving stone lifted by a hand that learned from watching. Pavers thrown at people, not by soldiers this time, by neighbors. Because when the state normalizes violence, the state trains everyone. This is Uganda. where subscribing to the wrong colors, the wrong doctrine, the wrong kind of people can earn you Swahili lessons in basement classrooms you never enrolled in, a quick haircut before the episodes drop, unedited and a shame straight to your ex timeline between the football scores and the prayer requests, your joints rearranged, your fingers reworked until they sign confessions in languages your conscience doesn't speak. This is Uganda, where spouses grow old and die in the waiting, where children learn their parents' faces from photographs on a missing person's flyer that nobody filed, where grief has no funeral because there is no body, only a door that doesn't open, a phone that doesn't ring, only a government that never treats its citizens right.
That's a very moving poem that speaks to the unfortunate realities of our country, Uganda. Listening to that poem, you realize it's a voice of a young Ugandan, not a mature one like me. And for those of us who are mothers and raising the children in Uganda, such voices crying out for a better Uganda pierces our hearts to the bone marrow. We have birthed these children. We are doing our best to raise them. And in what world are we presenting them, or shall we leave them tomorrow? Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today with a heavy heart. I stand in my stilettos as we have been called upon by the President of the Law Society, President Semakade, that the women lawyers must show up in their stilettos and make meaning of it. Because our nation is bleeding. I take this opportunity to greet the President of this country, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the other T name that, because of my Acholi tongue, I cannot pronounce very well. I greet him and recognize him in that capacity. I greet our President, President Semakade, and the Council, and recognize you in that capacity. Since you took over office, it has been controversy after controversy. But for me, the controversies are all about a better Uganda. How do we lead this Uganda in compliance with the laws of this country? The national laws, the international laws, the regional laws, the sub-regional laws, that we have spent a lot of taxpayers' money flying members of parliament, people from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, etc., to go be part of the discussions around these laws, adopt these laws in our parliament, ratify them at the international, regional level, and commit to adhere to them. Taxpayers' money has gone down the drain if we do not wake up. Section 3 of the Uganda Law Society Act, that has been my push factor in everything I have done in the classroom, showed up for ULS activities. It has been Section 3, calls on us as members of the Uganda Law Society to lead this country and give a sense of direction where the rule of law is being watered down. So I recognize the president of the Radical New Bar and his council for relentlessly screaming screaming over his head, or their heads, together with the VC, in every platform, every podium, every Twitter, every social media message. And in our School of Law platform, my year 1999, they say they are love letters, every so-called love letter, but screaming for democracy, the rule of law and justice in this country. Fellow citizens, I recognize you too. And I also recognize the chief guest today, Mrs. Lukwago, Zalwangu. I had never sat anywhere close to Mr. Lukwago except watching him on TV as a mayor, as a lawyer, and doing what he does best. This is the first time in my life I am sitting even close to his wife. I've never known her. When I was asked to come and speak today and represent the women and be in solidarity with her, of course, you fear. You wonder about the children you're leaving behind and so on. But I must show up. I must show up because we have women who have showed up before us and spoken loud and clear, who I also recognize today. So many of them, I must, led by Honorable Matembe. So many, all the women in the women's movement, Honorable Betty Byanyima, Dr. Zedrika, Sarah Berete, Prima Kwagala, FIDA, the FIDA leadership, UONET, so many. I must show up and represent the women's movement. And we stand up with our sister. And you know, I laughed. I laughed and said, now I'm even an Alongo. Maybe that's the reason God made me also an Alongo, so that I can come and stand by my sister, Nalongo, Zalwango, in this very difficult time. We know our sisters, my colleague Zahara, Dr. Zahara Nampewa at the School of Law has suffered the same ordeal. Bobby Wine's wife has suffered the same ordeal, and we are still suffering. But we want to raise our voices to the nation, to the president. And for me today, I chose to come and speak to the president, to use this platform to speak to the president and say, President Museveni, please talk to us as a nation. Speak to us. We need to know where we are heading in this Kisanja no more sleep. Recently, you gave us your, what is it called? The State of the Nation address. My plea to you is that you give us a part 2 of the State of the Nation address very, very soon, maybe by end of business today, to tell us about the state of constitutionalism, rule of law, and governance in this country. Your previous State of the Nation address spoke about PDM, about the cattle corridor in the 1950s, I don't know what, about imperialism, correcting us that it's not Kisanja no sleep, but Kisanja no more sleep, to fight poor governance, corruption in this country. And here we are. Here we are watching the Pearl of Africa deteriorating with one circus after another, that we are finding it even hard to sleep in our homes, in our beds. We don't know who is next. So as our father, President Yoweri Museveni, and Mama Janet, just a few months ago, I think you delivered some kind of national apology. There was a national apology to the nation for the mistakes that have been made since 1986 when you came into power and then to date. And yeah, you left us with hope that by the time a parent or two parents actually make a national apology, then we are going to see fundamental change. But where we are today, it's doubtful. We are not yet seeing that fundamental change in reality to make us understand that the aspirations of the Constitution embedded there, just in the preamble. If nobody wants to read the entire Constitution because they say Ugandans, I don't know, Africans don't want to read, hide information in the book, at least read the preamble alone. To tell you the aspirations of this Constitution, where our foreparents who fought the wars that you fought when you came into power was 1986. I was only in P7, P1. All I remember is my teacher telling me, duck down under the desks. I was in Shimoni Primary School, and I think you were taking over Radio Uganda. And bullets were raging all over the place, and the teacher told us, duck down under the tables, under the tables. And I recall my auntie came for me. I think she was living maybe closest to, or working closest to Radio Uganda, picked me up and took me to her home. I spent that whole time in Bugolobi where my auntie stayed. And then a few months, so I don't even know how much time the war took, but I know thereafter my auntie took me back to our home, which was in Kabalagala, just above Kabalagala police station there. But on our way around Zambia police barracks and so on there, I could see men, women with bandage all over their heads and arms and so on. And that is really my memory of the LR 1986 liberation struggle. And it was so terrifying. And I'm hoping that our children and Uganda will not regress to that state alone again. I'm hoping that this Kisanja no more sleep and the so-called protecting the gains will actually be protecting the constitution, the laws that we have, all the programs we've put in place to really uphold this nation and make meaning to the people of Uganda, whether any of those laws matter, whether this Kisanja protecting the gains really matter for all of us or for a selected few. I think for me, the ball is now in your court, our president, to come and explain to us what your son, General Muhoozi, is actually up to. Honorable, what's his name? By Chris who? Bariomus told us he acts the way he acts because he has Peter Pan syndrome. I don't know, we don't know, but Honorable yeah, he's very close to the family, I suppose. So probably they know better. But we are just seeking answers to all these questions that we ponder. And the answers lie nowhere else but with you, our president, to explain what is happening to this nation. In your election acceptance speech in January, I listened carefully. And one of the many things you set out to do, I think there were about 7 points, and among which I remember 2 very keenly, was enhancing access to justice and protecting the rights of all persons to access to justice in Uganda and fighting corruption. So what does that access to justice really mean? Is it going to be simply increasing money for the judiciary to recruit more judicial officers, maybe build more courthouses, but violate the rights of the legal representatives who must go in there and represent the clients and make the right to access to justice really have fundamental meaning to all Ugandans? I hope that in the next State of the Nation address that I'm expecting from you on the state of constitutionalism, rule of law, and democracy in this country, you, Mr. President, you will elucidate more on what you actually mean about that. Whether some of us belong to that right, to enjoy that fundamental right, or no, it's meant for a chosen few, depending on where they are coming from maybe, or which social class they belong to, or whether they are planned kids or not planned kids, because that is for us, the Gen Z language. Those of us who teach at the university, we tend to adopt the Gen Z language. So, Mr. President, I implore you to speak to us as a nation and explain to us what your position really is on this matter, so we can have guided response to all that is happening. I want to also let members know, I stand here also on the platform of the academia. For those of you who have seen, our law students from the Makerere Law Society released their statement, and I'm grateful to the students from Makerere University School of Law for the statement that they have released in light of this matter. I'm also grateful for Uganda Law Society. They shot right the first bullet to respond to this, as they should correctly do. Also, Honorable Asman Chiyinji, Honorable Betty Banyuma, they've all written. In fact, I say to myself, I will not talk law today. I will not cite those provisions, because those provisions have been cited, reiterated in all these statements. And even when you look at the composition of, I don't know, the council members or governing members of the PLU, they are made up of so many lawyers. The one that I know best who was in law school closer to me, and I could say is an acquaintance, is Mr. Kasirinji. So I know Council Kasirinji, I know that they know the law, they know the provisions, but either they are choosing, and they are people who are intellectually gifted, really. From what I know, what I've seen, some of those that they are intellectually gifted. So I'm hoping that they will guide their leadership also on what should the right way to go in order to comply with Uganda's legal undertakings in its national documents and others. And I want them to know, all the duty bearers here, that for us who are in the academia, we no longer know what to teach. You're teaching constitutional law, you're teaching administrative law, you're teaching human rights law, and what is in the books is very different from what is on the ground. Actually, our Gen Zs there on the ivory tower now say, ebiri mu what? Elisha. Ebiri ku ground, birara nyo. That is now what they are talking. Okay? Because what we have in our law text is not what is actually happening in our country. And to recognize their efforts, I want to take this opportunity to also reiterate their prayers as they stated it in their message to the nation. Elisha, I hope you can find it for me quickly. The prayers of the students from Makerere Law Society. I hope that the state of constitutionalism will change, human rights will change for a better Uganda, so that even as we teach our learners, they can resonate. What is on ground can resonate with what is in the books, in the constitution, in the law books. As I was coming here, I was listening to the presentation from the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi. I implore all Ugandans to listen to it again, and very keenly. Honorable Senyonyi, I want to applaud you. You are a graduate of the School of Law, Makerere University. I want you to know that we are expecting a lot from you as the leader of opposition to steer this country in the right direction, the way we taught you, so that you do not embarrass us, that the marks we gave you were just empty marks. You must defend the country, and we are happy that you're there and you're speaking for us, and speaking and defending the law degree that you got from Makerere University. To the judiciary, a lot has been said that you must tighten your belt and up your game. And we should really see that what you state in the strategic plan 2025-2026 and all the judicial documents, judicial annual reports, judicial theme of the year, a people-centered judiciary for socio-economic transformative development of Uganda. We must breathe life into those aspirations that you have in the strategic plan, in your goals. Your mandate under Article 126 to 129. Let us believe, let us know that the judiciary is actually independent and it's going to do its work with a people-centered approach, with a human rights-based approach. Yesterday on Twitter, our president, Semakade, was screaming his head out and saying, we must administer criminal procedure with a human rights approach. Not pocketing yourself in some little bubble and just applying the law, you know, as it's black and white, without thinking, what are the human rights standards here? As a judicial officer, how should I uphold them? Just last week, I was in a judicial training, a training with judicial officers. And in that training, the current CJ, Dr. Chief Justice Zeiga, he called on judicial officers to uphold human rights in the administration of justice and adjudicating their cases and in undertaking their work. And such a time has come when Ugandans must really feel the weight of the judiciary in upholding human rights with a human rights approach and a people-centered justice system. It hurts. When some of us who go into the communities and we try to reach out to people and tell them about the law, provide legal aid, etc., etc., you hear people in the community all they say, the law is for bagagga. For abavu, the law is not for us. Mateka tetu yamba, koti tetu yamba. We must change that perspective. When Justice Segonda Ntende gave his farewell speech, I think many of you read Justice Segonda Ntende's farewell speech on social media. He called on judicial officers to be the Wambuzis. I remember that statement there. Where are the Wambuzis? Where are the what? You know? He was calling on judicial officers to rise up and uphold justice like the previous judicial officers. You can go back and read his statement. And you see, I shared that statement on a number of platforms and so on. And in one of the platforms, the comments were, that is postmortem. Remember, he resonated the case of this Nup leader who is still in detention and could not even be granted bail to come and bury his wife who had died of cancer, etc., etc., and the children were there. He went back to that case and said, how much could a judicial officer not employ a human rights-based approach to that moment and give a husband, a father, a time to be with his children at such a difficult time? But when we shared it around, some voices were saying, it's postmortem. He's making those statements when the events have already passed. So he should, you know. And we don't want those comments to come up. We don't want you judicial officers to make these good, empowering speeches of the rest of the bench when you're saying farewell. When you're saying farewell to us as Ugandans or to the bench, we need you to say those speeches now, when the Constitution is really at a point of disarray. And to call on your colleagues to uphold their mandate. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak also remembering Article 17 of our Constitution. You know, General Muhoozi has told us, what was his statement? I inviolate what? Lawyers. Well, if you don't want to see us as lawyers and the role we have to play in this country, then see us as citizens of Uganda who must enjoy the equal rights and freedoms as enshrined in Chapter 4 of our Constitution and Article 21 of the Constitution. And Article 20 that enjoins the states to which you belong to uphold the inherent rights and freedoms of all Ugandans. And for some of us who do not have the military might and the power and the resources, Article 17 of the Constitution calls upon us as citizens to defend the human rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution for all Ugandans, for the most vulnerable Ugandans, etc. And for the radical new bar, our strength is only as good as the strength of every vulnerable advocate out there. If we are all scared off from representing our clients because the next thing you know, you're going to be accused of being privy to the crime that the client has actually committed, then who is going to represent the nation? The aspirations of the president to uphold access to justice in this Kisanja no more sleep. How are we going to realize it? How are we going to realize the National Development Plan for etc. if all lawyers dive under the carpet? So at least we are citizens. If you don't want to recognize us as lawyers, at least recognize us as citizens and read Article 17 of the Constitution and Article 3 of the Constitution that was enacted in 1995 at a time when President Museveni was already president, and he ascended to these documents because he believed in the aspirations and the spirit of these documents, or the letter of the law written therein. We have heard Honorable Maria Matembe and others, Chief Justice Emeritus Owindolo, talking of how they were part and parcel of the process of enacting the 1995 Constitution. Some of us are just receiving it as we grow. I think it actually hurts them when they see what is actually happening. Some of them may be placed in positions where they cannot speak. They cannot speak to the powers that be because of the positions that they hold. But their hearts must bleed or must be bleeding at what they now see happening. So as I conclude, Elisha, did you find it? As I conclude, I hope we shall soon have national prayers for this nation, but meaningful ones, not the hypocritical ones that are always hard wasting taxpayers' money. And yet the same persons in the so-called national prayers are the ones actually perpetrating and violating the rights of the people of Uganda. Honorable both, the new Speaker of Parliament, has told us in his acceptance speech how he's going to uphold constitutionalism and so on and so forth. I hope it was not a speech made in excitement as you were enjoying the fruits of the tree that Honorable Mao had shook. As you said, you are enjoying the fruits of Honorable Mao. But I really hope you mean well for the country, and I saw you're one of the members of the PLU Governing Council. So I believe as Speaker of Parliament, you will also take the mantle upon yourself to address all these regressive events that are occurring against the tenets of our Constitution. And as I leave this podium, allow me to reiterate the prayers of our students from the law faculty as stated in their Makerere Law Society statement. After stating all the laws that are being violated with the events around Honorable Elias Lukwago, Omuloti, they have prayed. Number one, immediate and unconditional release of Elias Lukwago, or produce him before the competent court of law without further delay in compliance with Article 23(4) of the Constitution. Disclose without equivocation his current whereabouts and the state of health to his family and his legal counsel and the Uganda Law Society. We see what happened as of yesterday. Guarantee his unimpeded access to legal representation and family visitation in accordance with the Constitution and the Ugandan Prison Act. Institute an independent and transparent investigation into the conduct of officers involved in this operation with a view of accountability under both military and civil law. And then finally, take all necessary measures to guarantee that no advocate, judicial officer, or litigant shall be subjected to intimidation, abduction, or reprisal for the lawful exercise of their constitutional and professional duties. For God and my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tim Patricia. You have really taught us that it's not about preaching the Bible, but you still have to act the good deeds of the Bible. You have taught law, but practiced the fight for human rights. And this has not left us behind. We appreciate, and you set an example and image for all other people. And we have to recognize that, before that, I also recognize other new members who have just joined us. And most distinct is the head legal department, National Unity Platform Council, Erito Jonathan, who also was working with Lukwago and company advocates the first time we met in the field to run after and help activists that are detained behind there. Also recognize the presence of Council Tobias, whom we also fight on the same legal team of Dr. Kiza Besije and Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago. The next person coming, Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago, has to also be recognized that he has been a member of the Council Representative Central Region, Uganda Law Society. And we shall be having a person, a member of that council coming to speak, who will as well invite our chief guest, Senior Counsel Zawedi Lukwago. But before our speaker comes in, because me personally, like Council Kunhira said, for the times I've interacted with Senior Counsel Lukwago, there are three things I learned from him. One, I have just learned it now when he's not here. The two are, one, he's down to earth. If you would go to his office, he was welcoming to everyone when he was the Lord Mayor. At least he would even come and apologize. Imagine, I'm caught up, but let my secretary Fiona attend to you. Even the people who have gone there, people we studied with, like those of Bosa who are working in his farm, they really tell you that he is a humble man. Then two, he's fearless. In one of the interactions, he told us that when he had just finished LDC, the first case he had was to represent Dr. Kano Kizza Besigye in the General Court Martial. And he was arrested and detained by the same General Court Martial. But it did not stop him. He kept the fire burning. When we were in the General Court Martial, one time at the preparation at the Lord Mayor's Parlor, he told us these words, that today we are going to the General Court Martial as lawyers. Behave fearlessly. Act the way you want. If there is injustice, you disobey. And I recall Nalukola was like, this could be our last breakfast, Council Nalukola. When we reached court, the General Court Martial, it is the same day, unfortunately, that Council Aaron Chiza was tortured and even again arrested and remanded in Kitaria prison. But it caused a stepping moment to have the General Court Martial and at least have Dr. Kano Kizza Besigye and Haji Obedi Lutalo tried in a civil court. But little did we know that we are running away from rain, hiding in an ocean. The civil court is now a problem. We think the jerrycan is holding water, but they have directions of paraffin. So we still pray that the Almighty God is with us, and we should not give up on these fights. The last thing he has taught me that he's not here is that whenever you are heading for a war, don't show up all your guns and mentor all your guns. Trust me, most of you, including me, have seen the family of Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago after his detention. And we have seen how charismatic they are and determined to fight. Because, like me who was even not married, it has taught me that you have to marry a fighter. If you look at Mama Zawedi, she looks like, if you have watched that movie, Winnie Mandela, Madikizela, that's how she dressed like, and that's how she acted. You have seen the son, you have seen the other daughter here, they are real fighters. And it reminds me the words of my father before he went to prison. He sat us as a family and he told us these words, that his father used to tell them, fire has left ash, a hero has left nothing. So he was cautioning us not to give up on what is right, stand with God, be disciplined, and keep our heads raised. He's now sentenced, serving 16 years imprisonment, the same prison, Maction Bay, where Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago is. But because he was protecting public land, that the market shouldn't be taken away. But because we have those politicians who have personal interests, who do not accelerate to the wisdom of development in their areas, they have pushed him. He has to serve the 16 years and pay the 77 million. Well, we are in the Supreme Court and the hearing is on 25th this month. But we are now strong. Even though he serves the remaining years, we are like, it's okay. But at least it has taught us. So, Senior Counsel being in prison, it has not stopped the struggle. It has encouraged the family. And it also puts us to caution that not whoever is in prison committed the offense. And it is so shaming to the religious sector, which always keeps quiet, yet it should be their first mandate. They are very aware of this. Genesis chapter 39 talks about Joseph being in prison after being framed up for attempted rape. The book of Acts chapter 16 talks about the same, Daniel. But because they are given vehicles, they are given what? A church leader is not supposed to go to the president. It's the president to come to him. The prophet doesn't go to the king. It's the king to come to the prophet. They have not learned these things. But as we go on, since our motto is for God and my country, we shall fight and we shall not give up. So please allow me invite Alexander Rule, the ULS Council member for the Council Representative Central Region. Kindly will come. The said speaker.
Mukendeza ku bikolobero eneyalu kwa byanyiziza banange bajja kututira obwerere banange mwe mulina konvoyi mulina ababakuuma batugenda kufiira bwerere mukendeza ku bikolobero
ngatumina na kimulina
tetulina kye tulina nze okujjako okunze kyondegomesa zange zino ne bandekera wali ku sitwiti biki byemba nkoze nsaba mukendeza ku bikolobero bakendeza ku bikolobero bannange muze tulene kabineti yo mukendeza ku bikolobero tugenda kufiira bwerere nga tufa mu bintu byemukola mmwe nzire gye musindika abantu abakwata abantu sibeerayo nebazima abantu bange ebintu
and please, you are the one to invite our chief guest.
Mukendeza ebikolobero eggwanga litereere abantu obusungu balekerawo okubimaliranga kuffe okubimaliranga konze sina kyenkoze
tolina nakyoli
sina nakyendi
tolina nakyolina
boda aja kumpisa bulumu bantu kyeba ndaba nange ngenda kufiira kinze mukendeza ebikolobero.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Mujja kunsaasira ngenda kukozesa Luganda. Ebintu bizibu. So tugenda kukozesa lulimi olwa wano Masekati ga Kampala, ekibuga kya Ssaabasajja. Omukisa ogumpeereddwa era obuvunaanyizibwa bwa kuyita maama. Naye nga sinnayita maama, olwaleero lwaweereddwa abakyala bannakazadde b'eggwanga lino. Tulina bangi okusinga abali wano. Abali wano katonyeze mu ocean, mu Ssemayanja. Bino byatuusewo mu kibuga Kampala. Tuyinayo omuntu gw'empulira gwe bayita maama Kampala. Ndowooza yandibadde ate naye munnamateeka mwattu. Yandibadde wano waali. Tetumanyi nsonga lwaki taliiwo. Maama yatuyamba n'atuwa omuloodi. Nkiwa amanyi bingi nnyo byabadde ayitamu ebbanga lyonna omuloodi lyabadde nga MP, lyabadde ng'omuloodi, buli kintu kyonna kyayiseemu. Maama oyo yabadde amuteekateeka era yabadde amutegeka. Omuloodi ku ssaawa eno n'okusinziira obulamu bwe nga bwe buli, tetusuubira nti akyasobola okukwasaganya emirimu gye nga bwe yagikwasanga, naddala egy'ebyobufuzi. Nze nno nnyina akalowoozo. Maama, tumanyi embeera gy'oyitamu kati si nnyangu, naye ke kaseera olowooze mu nga bw'obadde watufumbira taata n'omutuwa ng'omuloodi. Gw'olowooza tosobola kukikwatamu ako kalowoozo nno, naye mu mbeera yonna gy'olimu tukimanyi oli mukosefu, tosobola kuyimirira bulungi olw'embeera gy'olimu. Tujja kusaba oyogereko eri abantu ng'omugenyi omukulu. Omukyala oyo ye managing partner wa Lukwago and Company Advocates, puliida munnamateeka ngaffe, ye Zaawedde ye managing partner wa Zawedero bw'amaanyi company advocate, sorry neyanziza okuntereeza, mukyala w'amaanyi nnyo. Olw'obukosefu bw'alina mujja kutukkiriza ayogerera awo waali ng'atudde, era kati akazindaalo kagenze wuwe. Bannakampala bakaaba, bannayuganda bakaaba, balooya bakaaba, buli muntu yenna akaaba. Maama ke kaseera tuwulire ku ddoboozi lyo.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for this meeting. Thank you for the concerns you have shown for Salongo, my land brother and husband, your land brother. It is a good gesture, and I appreciate Kanza Simwe. I appreciate the President, Mr. Semakade in absentia. I appreciate the bar. Thank you so much for being part of us. Forgive me, I thought I would stand, but as we went on, I felt emotional, especially when Doctor was making her speech. I almost broke, but yes, I'm getting better now. It gives me great courage and a sense of direction to see that the Law Society, our brothers and sisters, are standing with us as a family. I came together with our second born. She's a law student at Makerere. They are currently in a recess, they have a recess term. Recess semester? Yes. She's supposed to be in a lecture, but ever since they arrested Dad, she hasn't been able to study. But I think because I've counseled her, we will cover through this, and by tomorrow or today evening, she'll be able to go back. On Monday this week, if I can take you back, I had prepared breakfast for the for council, and we had a bang on the main door. He was still taking breakfast. This time he took it from the bedroom because we already had information that the military was surrounding us. So he took breakfast at around 9 o'clock in the morning. And before he could settle, we had another bang on our bedroom door. The military had come, armed, and they wanted him out. So when I had a bang, I just knew they had come for him. I opened the door of the bedroom, and I tried to resist. I was kicked down by some Hugh gentleman, and they entered and arrested him. So ever since Monday, we have not been able to hear from him till yesterday. All we could see were tweets by Mr. Mhozi and she could tell me, Mommy, let me go to X and find out whether he has put another message so that we know how Daddy is. Honorable Lukwago is sick. He has been through recovery. And it was actually caused, the sickness, it roots from the torture he has suffered. Just like my colleague said, that he's a fighter. He has been taken for a kickball every time he gets active. He happens to be a political lawyer, which is not a crime, because he's a human rights. He's a human rights fighter. So he's been arrested, he's been banged about. Some time back, he got a problem in his back. It was also because of some incident in Rnblive where they threw him down because they had arrested him. They arrested him and they were bundling him on a car. So when they were putting him on the car, the driver thought they had already put him. So the driver set off, and when they kind of threw him, he fell down and he broke the spinal got damaged. We've been through that for some time. He's in recovery process. He has prescribed food, prescribed medicine to take, prescribed sitting position and sleeping position, because he's healing. All these are part of healing. So they have taken him for 3 days. Yesterday when I met him at Kira Police, where they had put him, he told me he was tortured both psychologically, he was abused bodily, he was tortured physically. He's in much pain. We thank you for your prayers. We believe he will get better if we have justice, if we have him bailed out. He's not hearing well because he's been slapped every morning. It has been his breakfast. The torture room where they put him had no vents. He has a breathing problem, so he has pain in the lungs. His arm, because he wasn't sleeping, that is connected to the operated area, is paralyzed, but I'm thankful to the Law Society. I just call upon the judiciary. I just call upon the judiciary to take a leaf from the society. Take a leaf from the society. Become more human. Because yesterday, Council Baker and the team, Council Medad, Council Prosi and others were applying for bail. I believe the trial judicial officer will be considerate, because I didn't even think it was prudent to have him sent to Luzira, to have him remanded. They would have sent us to Mulago and ordered, because she has discretion to order prisons and security, to have him guarded in a health facility. But that's how it went. We are waiting for Monday when the matter is coming for mention, and see what will become, what will be the fate of Salongo. I would like to thank the legal team, Council Medad, lead counsel. It's not us who haven't been sleeping, but he told me for 3 days. He's been almost up. We thank him, we thank his family. We thank everyone who has stood with us, the press, social media, because I don't know who in particular to thank for social media, but I think Uganda has demonstrated that if Mr. Mhozi is to lead, I didn't want to go that side, but I'll be forced. If this is his way of seeking approval from us, it will not work. We have come from far. People are tired. We may seem weak because we don't have guns, but elsewhere, people have raised up and governments have changed. We need better governance. Uganda needs better. We actually need, because I'm seeing Mr. Museveni becoming elderly. We need a better leader than his son. I have some prayers I wanted to make to the CDF. I have some prayers I wanted to make to him, that he should change his way. It has portrayed him as someone who is under some influence. We don't know which. It has, if Museveni had scored 80% in his governance, it has watered down everything that he has done. Uganda has been ashamed if we are being pulled to go back to the 70s, where the government claims to have saved us from. It is really a shame. Uganda can do better. Uganda can do better. And to the judiciary, because we haven't heard from the judiciary. Councillor Simwe has been strongly critical about that. We need a voice. We need a radical new bench, if I can call it that. Let's get away from our curtains. Let's get away from our comfort zones and fight for the cause of the rule of law. Because once it is attacked, Uganda is attacked, everyone is attacked. So we have nowhere to run to. Let the bar come out, let the bench come out, just like the bar, though under persecution, because this doesn't come lightly. But let the judiciary come out and do something about the increase in human rights abuse. So, Mr. Vice President, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Stand with us still because we need you. We don't know where we are going to end. If we are able, which I appeal, to get bail, because these days, yes, Salong is entitled to be bailed out. If we get bail, I believe we'll have him treated and he'll get active again. But if we don't, I'm worried about his health. We pray you stand with us still because we still need you. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you're still doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mama, for being bold and strong in such a testing moment. And in the outlook of everything, we see that first people online are saying, thank you, they are standing with you. They really have no questions for you. They are consoling within such a tough time, and they stand with you. Amongst these people, there is Bernard, Arthur, Sylvia, Namwase, many of them, those even appreciating Dr. Patricia and the entire team, ULS, whatever you're doing. We really pray that God keeps you strong. The words were calm, bold, and meaning. So we treasure them and we take heart of the same. And we believe that things will work out. So allow me, as we come to the closure of this session, I'll also appreciate the audience for being patient and being here with us the whole day. Yeah. Africans have been driven by food. It's what makes them present. But for you have been here to share the soul of wisdom and how we build the sense of rule of law in our country. So we really appreciate you so much. May God be with you. Allow me invite, my name once again is Katshabe Ronald, aka Justice Hunter. Allow me invite the Vice President, Uganda Law Society, to close this. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much. It's really disheartening listening to such an ordeal. And no words can explain. No one deserves to go through such. But before we do close, I believe there could be some members, both here physically and those online, who might have some questions, some queries, which you could probably answer or respond to before we close. But then again, also, as we're proceeding, we received one of our members, Elotu, Jonathan, who has been with us in this struggle for political prisoners. It's been a song we've been singing. He's been at the forefront. He's a legal representative for NUP, and they've suffered the most. We've seen so many political prisoners have been disappeared. Others are not even known. We don't know where they are. Those ones have been tortured. The Eddie Mutwes, before here I mentioned Dr. Zadriga. He's always been at the forefront of running up and about, looking for these people, searching for them, filing applications in court, the habeas corpus. The president likes calling it bone and blood. He's been doing the bone and blood. And at some point, they also brought a petition and appealed to the Radical New Bar for support because it was overwhelming. And it was at that point that we made the decisions, we made the commitments we made to ensure that we fight to make the situation better. So before we even listen to the questions, probably Lotu, can I invite you to just say hello to the people? Because I know you're the face of the people fighting for political prisoners just in 1 minute, and probably an experience of what it feels like, what it looks like, because I know the bakers and the team here are going through the same. But I believe you've filed the highest number of applications, habeas corpus, bail, and you've gone to most dungeons to look for these people.
Thank you, everyone. Greetings from the National Unity Platform. I am not so happy to be here. It's very emotional. I worked under Lukwago for about 4 years. When I saw the images on social media that he had been picked, it was so hurting. And what is more hurting is that he's a professional like all of us, and he was doing what all of us do. And he's picked up and taken to the dungeons. I saw one of the social media personnel saying that the place that he was taken in looked like the place that Eddie Mutwe was taken in. When I heard that he was taken to that place, and this has happened to several of our people from the National Unity Platform, that each of the people who are taken to these places, they first of all beat their hands and beat their joints. It's really wrong that someone who has stood for rule of law for a very long time, that the Lord Mayor has previously stated that he's standing for the rule of law, that person who has stood for the rule of law, it's now the rule by law that is affecting him. And then we find ourselves in the court, charged with an offense that we all know he never committed. Charged with basically what he's charged with is privileged information. Because if your client has told you that maybe they allegedly committed an offense, why are you being charged with knowing that information? So we stand with the family of Salongo and want to be clear. What has been done to Salongo is wrong to the highest extent. Even if he were to get bail, what has been done to him should never have been done to anyone. And what is being done to the political prisoners should never be done by anyone. No one has the power to decide the life of others. No one should have that power. Not the CDF, not the president. No one should have that power. And we shall fight as much as we can so that Salongo gets his freedom, so that all political prisoners get their freedom. That is our fight. We shall fight that. Salongo has gone today. Tomorrow, we are ready to go with him. And we shall fight till the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Once again, also before the questions, I know we have Makere Law School students in the house. They led by example. I also saw a student from, I think, Mountains of the Moon, somewhere in Barra, who was demonstrating with a placard, got information that they were arrested. But Dr. Patricia here talked about the involvement of the students, and probably what she could not have said, she said it another way, that even those people who teach us law hide some of these things from us. Not because I believe some of them do not know, and the few of them who are courageous enough to come and say these things out, of course, they are not part of the syllabus that has been structured. And if you heard the president very well last night, that's why he was also emphatic on the fact that the Bar Association should be in charge of legal education to determine actually what kind of education, legal education, should be imparted into the students, because it all begins from there. I'll invite a student. We have someone from Makerere University to come and greet the people. It's something small before we go into the question and answer session. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Nasuna Sarah. I'm the female GRC of Makerere School of Law. And I'm standing here on behalf of the students' body at Makerere University. First things first, I would really love to appreciate the Uganda Law Society for this platform, for the opportunities given to the student body there at Makerere University, and also for this initiative where this platform is given to different people to speak about the different things happening in Uganda. And with the topic today, as I was coming here, my parents actually told me, we are really scared for you, the students of law, because by the time Senior Counsel Lukwago was captured, I personally was really shocked that whatever thing that was transpiring pulled the attention of the general public at large, that even someone who is not educated, with the TikTok video that has been showed, people are really in fear that if someone who is known is being treated like that, then we who are less known, what shall happen to us? Then also, I personally am a mental health advocate, and whatever thing that has been happening to Senior Counsel Lukwago has really showed that the state has to really do something about Muhoozi. And when my lecturer, Dr. Patricia, was speaking, I really saw that, yes, Dr. James continuously told us in the family law lecture, that family is an institution that is so strong that family has the power to determine how other families have to be treated. And at this time, we are seeing the family of Senior Counsel Lukwago requesting for the family of General Museveni to do something about their breadwinner. We are looking at Senior Counsel Lukwago as a breadwinner, a lawyer, and a mentor to many. And on behalf of the law students at Makerere, we are really praying in line with the Makerere Law Society President, Mr. Semba George, as in absentia, that Senior Counsel Lukwago is granted a fair trial and seriously bail, because his health is indeed, as you can see the pictures that have gone around, it's really in terror mode, and sincerely we are praying for a fair thing, and the judiciary should come out together with the practicing lawyers, because the students' body is really worried for what shall we really practice in a law where, sorry, in the country where law is not respected. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You've heard from the students. Could we be having other representatives from other law schools? Are you? Yes, they could all come here together. Any other representative from any other law school, please come along.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The protocol observed. My name is Rnblive Innocent, and I'm from Kampala International University School of Law, and I'm in 4-2. Just like the Radical Nyumba vision, as students shall not sit down and look at what.
All right, thank you very much, the students' body. Let me invite our MC to take us through the question and answer session. We'll have a few questions. I know that people need clarity. Please come and take over.
Okay, thank you, Vice President. Please, anyone with questions here, because online we only have comments. I'm told there are some people who are, yes, please. Yes, give him a microphone. Him.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to say that I sympathize with you, Uganda Law Society and Nalongo, over the issues happening. But my name is Ramson. Here I work with NBS TV, and I have just two questions. Hopefully Nalongo can respond to them. They're about the Lord Mayor, Councillor, and also rather Council and Party President. I wanted to know how has treatment been like, you know, for Council away from eating a special meal, but also was that treatment being gotten from here, and was it prescribed from abroad as a result of special treatment? Because your plea has been perhaps Mulago would have been better. Is it because Mulago can afford to actually give the right treatment, or you think just Mulago is just an alternative to Luzira, and probably his treatment specifically has to be, you know, managed internationally, where perhaps it was prescribed from, just about his special treatment? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Mayambala from NBS. You've talked about your appeal to the DPP to withdraw charges, and what is your next course of action in case the DPP does not heed to this, or even the Chief Justice and of course and the others and the likes? What is your next course of action as the Uganda Law Society or the lawyers in the country?
Please, your name and whom are you addressing the question to?
My name is Adam Mayambala. I work for NBS. I'm addressing the question to the Uganda Law Society and to Nalongo, if she may.
Okay. Any other, or we consider that's all? Okay, I think those are the two questions available. And maybe I could also pose a humble question. How are you managing the situation, Nalongo, amidst these tough times? That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The gentleman who asked about the special treatment, whether it cannot be gotten from, whether it's gotten from abroad, yes, or it cannot be gotten from Mulago. Salongo, but if you can talk to him, being a journalist, I think you have interacted with him. He knows, he's now a lawyer doctor. He knows everything concerning his ailment. He knows everything concerning his treatment. And sometimes doctors consult him when they're giving him his prescriptions. He has a personal doctor who cannot be allowed to go to Luzira. but he can access Mulago. This is why I said it would be better that if he had been detained, yes, and guarded by the security at Mulago, because that's also, that can be done so that he accesses his personal doctor. That was the reason that we had that option. It was actually brought to the attention of the trial magistrate, but she didn't put it to consideration. Then about withdrawal of the charges by DPP, that was brought up by Councillor Sim.
Yeah, I'll answer.
Okay. The third question. Was there a third question? Please forgive me. How I'm faring? Okay. How I'm faring is natural. That is breaking me, not only me, the children and our other relatives, plus friends. But since we have to leave, I'm counseling my children to stand strong, and we have hope that we'll get bail. If he's out on bail, we'll have him on, we'll treat him. But in prison, you all know, he doesn't have the freedom to get what he wants in time. He doesn't have the freedom to do what he wants. He doesn't have the freedom to associate with his family, with his friends. Have I answered it?
Yes, sir. Okay. Please, the Vice President, you can still step forward. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much. The question came from a gentleman from NBS, and I'll answer this as I close our engagement for today. You must have heard our letter. Yesterday we wrote to the DPP demanding that the charges against Arias Lukwago should be withdrawn immediately. And I'm going to read for you part of our letter, just the last part, that an attack on one advocate is an attack on the entire bar and on the rule of law. The profession demands the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of all the charges against Advocate Arias Lukwago, full disclosure of his treatment in detention, and a public undertaking that prosecutors will cease using their offices to advance partisan political objectives. Last year, upon assuming office, ULS warned you of the urgent need to stop the abuse of prosecutorial discretion. Our criminal justice system is now a police-to-prison pipeline for dissenters. And when we put this, sending this letter, we put his office to notice. And I'll pick out the second part where we said, we shall take the struggle to the streets. The legal profession, in coordination with other pro-democracy forces, shall picket the DPP's office every single day, commencing immediately and without interruption until these charges are unconditionally withdrawn. As the bar, we absolutely reject the charge that was placed on our member, Arias Lukwago. It is a cynical attack on the legal profession, and the public and the media will definitely see our next steps. We feel like the time for talking is over. It's time for action. And as we promised in that letter, in that communication, we did send a communication. We've not yet received a response. And as Mama mentioned, and the legal team, that he's expected to return to court on Monday for mention, has been handed over to the judiciary. But we know the DPP has a bigger role to play. And I'm here to inform you that even as of now, as we finish this session, we are marching to the DPP's office to picket and demand and have an explanation from the DPP, because these are the requests we make. We've always made them in writing, no response. We don't hear anything. And they keep, dodging us around. So like I said, the time for talking is over. We are taking action now. We need to get this demand. We know it's a public office, we know where it is, and the fact that when we head there, when we go there, we should be able to see and have a discussion and agree on these things. And that is what we are doing as the members of the bar, and those probably would wish to join us, because this is what we should be doing. We are entitled to that. He has a constitutional duty to explain to the members of the public. We are doing the picketing. We are beginning now. We can't wait, because we do not know what will happen next, who will be picked next, and what the office will do. The office is enabling this kind of criminality, and we cannot stand it, shall not allow it. So of course we don't expect Nalongo to go with us because she's not well. She's, as you can clearly see, she's frail. But those members of the bar and others who are available, it's time for us to have an engagement with the DPP, because this is where it begins from, and we are doing it now. We are beginning now. And as a show, as a demonstration of our dissatisfaction, we shall just walk there. We shall just march there, because that's good enough for us. Okay, nkuddamu ekibuuzo kyo. Eggulo twawandikidde DPP ebbaluwa nga tumusaba gino emisango gye batadde ku memba waffe Elias Lukwago, ye ng'omukulembeze wange omukulu w'ekitongole ekikulira oba omwabi wa gavumenti, emisango gino bagimuggyeko mu munambiro, kuba tetulikiriziganya nagyo, tugiwakanya okuba nga giteekebwa ku munnamateeka ng'akola mirimu gye, era kikyamu. Era tukimanyi nti alina obuyinza okusazaamu ensonga ezo, okusazaamu emisango egyo. Twawandiise ebbaluwa eggulo nga tusaba nti agoberere amateeka, era twamuwoninga wano nga yakagenda mu ofiisi, obutakozesa ofiisi ye mu bukyamu, mu kugezaako okutulugunya bannayuganda ng'akozesa oba ng'agendera ku biragiro eby'abantu abalala mu bukyamu. Era ne tunnyonnyola nti ekigenda okuddako twogedde nnyo, tuwandiise naye tulaba nga teri kivaayo. Ne tugamba nti tujja kutandikirawo okugezaako okwogeraganya ne ofiisi ye, kutuukirira ofiisi ye mu ggwanga lyonna, okulabika nti naye nga ofiisi alekeraawo okukola ebikolwa bwe biti oba okukozesebwa, okukkiriza okukozesebwa mu bukyamu. Era ffe nga bannamateeka n'olwaleero nga tuva wano tusazeewo okutambula okugenda mu ofiisi okugoberera ekiwandiiko kyaffe kye twataddeyo nga tumusaba emisango gino gye batadde ku Elias Lukwago mu bukyamu gimugibweko, era kye tugenda okwogeraganya naye okulabika nti tumutuukako. Ofiisi ya DPP public office y'abannansi, nti okkirizibwa okutuuka eno obaako kye weebuuzaako n'otwalayo complaint yo. So ffe nga bannamateeka tugenda kwemulugunya wa DPP nga tumusaba. Twasoose kuwandiika tetunaba bwatwanukula, naye tusazeewo kati tugendeyo twogere naye tukkaanye ku nsonga zino, oba tumusabe nti kye twakusabye mu buwandiike twagala kikolebwe essaawa eno, kuba bwe tunaasigala eno nga oli ayinza n'otugamba ebbaluwa sinakola ki, sinagiraba, simanyi bye mwawandiise. So kino kye tusazeewo okukola nga bannamateeka, kuba tulowooza nti okutuula ennyo ne twogera kikomye, era buli lunaku tujja kugezaako nnyo okugenda mu maaso nga tukola bwe tuti, nga tutuukirira ofiisi eyo mpaka weneerekera okukkiriza okukozesebwa mu mbeera bweti, nga bayisa bateeka emisango egitategerekeka ku bantu, ku bannayuganda be tulabe nga batulugunyizibwa mu bukyamu.
Okay, thank you so much, our Vice President. As we are supposed to have a group photo, so please, people, don't leave. However, I'm informed, it being a ladies' day, there is a lady here who is insisting that she has a question. I don't know, Vice President, am I around? Your question is Yes, Vice President, you as well have a question addressed to you.
Nebaza olukiiko lw'abannamateeka olw'ekikolwa kino eky'obooluganda kye bakoze ne bayita olukiiko luno mangu mangu. Nze bankubidde ejjo kiro, President yankubidde ejjo kiro ne twogera, nadde nyina some commitments in the morning, naye engeri gye yabadde nti this is a unifying platform, nabadde nyina okumugamba nti nja kubaawo. Law Society erwanye nnyo tuyambye nga Vice President we muwulidde nti ne DPP tebamulese bweru oba omuwaabi wa gavumenti tebamulese bweru, naye bamugamba nti emisango gy'okyaginga abantu opanga mipange, so bamugamba nti omusango guno olina okugugyayo. Era bwe kityo nga bwe kiri nti nga Radical New Bar bwekoze mu kino, bwe ntyo bwe nsabye n'abalamuzi nti omusango ne bwe guba gufaanana gutya ne bagukuleetera, what is your conscience saying? What are the facts? Ogenda kusala busazi olw'okuba nnyina okwekuumira ekifo, bino ebintu biswaza. Bannamateeka by virtue of our profession tetunoonya mirimu. It is a noble profession nti buli muntu w'omuteeka aba ajjaawo. So nsaba abalamuzi baveeyo bakole nabo kye balina okukola, tulabe nga enfuga ey'amateeka tevumibwa, kubanga enfuga ey'amateeka bw'evumibwa oba bw'erinnyirirwa buli muntu aba takyalina buddukiro. Uganda yonna eba evumiddwa, tuba tugenda kumalibwawo. Ekyokuba nti bannayuganda njogedde ku kya CDF okubeera nga yeeyisanga bwe yeeyisa, nti kiyinza okuba lwakuba ayina emmundu ngalowooza nti bannayuganda tuli banaku nnyo, tetukyasobola kwefaako, naye tubiwulidde ewalala mu nsi endala ng'abantu bwe bakoowa era ekiseera kituuka ne gavumenti neevaako. Kati kyensabye bannamawulire munsaasire enkobe wano, sijjukira bulungi. I've taken some days nga sifuna rest emala, but I think that's enough.
Please repeat the question, Chidem.
Waliwo ekibuuzo ekyabadde kikubuuziddwa.
Obadde ogambye nti obulwadde bw'alina bwava oba bamukubako wandegeya then n'eddagala engeri gy'alimye gamba nti oba mulago gye muyinza okwakisesingira omusawo we ali private.
Nti obulwadde obuluma Lord Mayor naddala obwali bwagala omutwala, obwali bwagala okumutta, bwafunibwa olw'okuyigganyizibwa kwazayigganyizibwamu, ate era nga nakwo kubadde kuva ku mirimu gy'akola nga looya, kubanga emirimu gye gisinga awolereza bannabyabufuzi. Ne ŋŋamba nti olunaku lwe yafuna damage ku spine eyavaako okulongoosebwa damage eyo negenda ng'ekula yali era ali mu bino nti baamukwata nga bamutwala Masaka mu kkooti y'e Masaka yali eyisizza ekiwandiiko kya bakuntumye, yes, ekiwandiiko kya bakuntumye ne bamukwata ne bamukasuka Kabangali. Kati Kabangali yali etambudde avuga Kabangali yali alowooza nti bamutaddeko dda. Kabangali n'esimbula, bwe baamuteekako ne baamuteeka mu bbanga n'agwa n'afuna damage. Kati yagenda ng'ekula n'evaamu okulongoosebwa okwo. Ekyeddwaliro ekyokuba nti lwaki bamutadde Luzira lwaki ne batamutwala Mulago, ekyo nagambye nti Council Areas Lukwago ayina personal doctor amukolako. Personal doctor oyo tasobola kugenda nga Luzira buli kaseera, ate nga wano e Mulago kyali badde kyangu okugenda n'amuceekingako oba n'akola wamu ne ba doctors abalala ne bamujjanjaba. Ate nga n'ekyo kkooti ekisobola, kubanga amateeka gawa omulamuzi ali mu musango, gamuwa discretion gamuwa obuyinza okusalawo nga ye bw'alaba mu butuufu bw'ekintu. Kati omulamuzi aba alina okutunuulira ensonga nga bwe ziri n'agamba nti kino weewaawo etteeka liŋŋamba nti kamutwale mu remanding e Luzira, wano wabeewo ekyenjawulo, kamutwale e Mulago. Kamutwale e Mulago akuumibwe prison ne police oba n'amagye nga bwe babeera bakyagadde, naye omuntu n'afuna obujjanjabi bwe yeetaaga mu kiseera ekyo.
Mama webale nnyo. She also had a question. I think we are finalizing with her, please. Council Patience.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Katsime Generous, a law student at Macquarie University. And my question, so we've seen the CDF making tweets about different things, and usually the things he talks about, they usually happen. So he made a tweet and he said, Lukwago would be in prison for not less than 10 years. So my question is to the Vice President. Do you think this statement is going to enable this judge handling this case to act with impartiality? Do you really think they are going to give a fair judgment basing on that? Because most things that he has talked about, they've really come to pass. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And that's the closure of the questions. And the same Vice President, you'll lead us for a group photo to answer this question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your question. If you've been carefully listening or following our outcry, even when we came into office as the Radical New Bar, is the demand for an independent judiciary. We are seeing interference of judicial work by the executive, by the military. That's why we dubbed this practicing law under military rule. And unfortunately, our judiciary, which should be an independent third arm of government, is heeding to pressure. Take, for example, we had an Okelo trial here. It's like everything that was happening on the orders of the executive. That is not how the Constitution envisaged it. More than 30 years after the Constitution, we failed to respect constitutionalism. But then again, more disturbing is the fact that the members holding those offices, judicial offices, accept to bow down to pressure. You had Patricia, Dr. here, when she was speaking, she reminded us of the speech of His Lordship, Egon Antende, when he was retiring, and he was making a call of where are the Wambuzis? These are the people who stood for an independent judiciary, who stood for the rule of law, who stood for the right cause of what a judicial officer is supposed to be doing, impartiality. But with this situation where we see all these institutions under capture, not only the judiciary, because if this person has been abducted, even the Uganda police accepts to receive him and put him in their vehicles as if they're the ones who actually got him, and take him to court. And the judicial officer doesn't even bother to ask, how was this person brought here? Where did he come from? And they still go ahead and remand, sent to prison. We are seeing a scenario where all these institutions are completely dead. Unfortunately, the judiciary should be the last hope for any citizen, any Ugandan, where you expect to get justice. That is why even whenever they would arrest someone, you'd say it is okay, we can go to court, because you expect to get justice from court. Unfortunately, we are seeing a judiciary dancing to the tunes of the oppressor. You saw when we criticized the current Chief Justice taking oath from the home of the president. We know he's the appointing authority. But what does that communicate? And the fact that now Ugandans are losing confidence in the judiciary. What we are seeing is the judiciary working with the oppressor to oppress the citizens. And that's why we are saying, as a Uganda, as the citizens, we need to put an end to this. Because someone said, I do not expect much from the judiciary. It's like they're almost predictable. But the most important thing is what we shall do, what we need to do about it as Ugandans, as citizens, as members of the bar and the legal profession, the students. How can we put this to an end? Because, again, I'll repeat this, we are on our own. Doctor reminded us about the keynote speech, the State of the Nation address by the president. You can imagine where the priorities are. These are not any of the priorities. Instead, we are seeing people being recruited in the judiciary, people serving in the judiciary to serve the interests of those people, what they want, which is really wrong and unfortunate. But it's our country, it's our nation, and it is only us who can put that to an end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Uganda Law Society, Council Patients, the team for organizing. We are going to have a closing prayer and anthem. I humbly call forward Secretary General, Council Babu, Sali, and Council Patients to lead us in this. Secretary General will greet us, Council Patients will give us a prayer, closing prayer, then anthem. Yeah.
Thank you once again, MC, Council Katushabe. I also wish to add my voice onto that of VP and thank Mrs. Zawede Lukwago Narubwama and Dr. Patricia Atim on honoring our invite. I believe the same was on short notice, but you endeavored to come through and honor the same, as well as all those who have left all your busy schedules to come and stand with our sisters today who are standing in solidarity for Lukwago and every vulnerable advocate. Just like Mrs. Zawede Lukwago, I am also not at my best health-wise. I've been unwell, I think, for the past 5 or 6 days. But considering what we have at stake, I have also, in a way, moved to be part of this struggle, to be part of the team that is pushing for not only the release of Senior Advocate Elias Lukwago, but also to see that we break the chain so that similar happenings do not happen in future, not only to the members of the bar, but also advocates and litigants. And this also takes me to something that is very pertinent that we have not discussed today, which is a condemnation to the judiciary, because with what was ongoing, we expected the judiciary to uphold the rule of law and in a way remedy the situation of abduction that had happened to Senior Advocate Elias Lukwago. But however, with the remand of Advocate Elias Lukwago, we find that the judiciary is also being used as a weapon to further these actions or acts of human rights violations against Ugandans. And yet it is the same Ugandans from whom they derive their mandate. Therefore, Mrs. Zawedde, manyi oli mukosefu oli mugonvu kyo kirabikira ddala era ndaffe abamu tuli bakosefu naye kino kyenkusaba nti nga Uganda Law Society Vice President Asimwe nga bw'ayogedde n'agamba twawandikidde office ya Director Public Prosecution nga tugigamba ffe ng'abannamateeka aba Uganda Law Society n'abantu aba bulijjo tugenda kubanga tubanja basobole okujja ku Advocate Elias Lukwago gino emisango egitaliyo wabula emijweteke nga kyebaagala kumugonza nga munnamateeka weewaawo aleme kubanga awolereza Dr. Kizza Besigye era ne tugamba nga VP bw'agambye tuve wano ffenna tugende tubanje DPP asobole okujjawo egyo emisango era ekyo tujja kibanja tukikole buli lunaku paka bwe banaatuddamu batubuulire ki ekyenkomeredde nga ofisi ya DPP kyegenda okukola oba paka bwe banaamugyako emisango. Era bw'obanga tosobodde kutambula naffe oyinza okukozesa emmotoka ne tumiitinga ku Workers House ne tuba nga tugenze kubanja tuddibwemu ebibuuzo ebyo bye batannaba tuddamu nga bannamateeka abawandiise mu kitongole kyaffe ate gwe mu kapasite ya mukyala we era nga naawe oli lawyer. Era n'ebyo ebigambo ebitono kampite Advocate Patience asobole otusabira essaala ya Mukama esobole otukulembera mu byonna bye tugenda okukola ebisinga ffe tulowooza nti tujja kikola naye ng'okusalawo kuba eri Mukama n'otutambuza emirembe mu byonna bye tukola.
Thank you, Councillor Babu. Let's humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for this afternoon. We thank you for the discussion that we've had. Lord, in a special way, we put before you Senior Counsel Elias Lukwago and his life, his health. Father, we pray that you will touch him where he is. We pray that you will protect him. We pray for all judicial officers who are handling his matter, Lord, that he will be able to get a fair trial. We pray that he will be of perfect health. We pray for his family, O Lord, that you will strengthen them during this time. And we pray for all lawyers, our members, and as well as the public at large, that Uganda shall be a safe state for all of us, and the rule of law shall be upheld in all things. I pray all this in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
The anthem, please, the national anthem, then you can come for a closing prayer. Let us all stand together for the national anthem.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. Let us all gather here for a group photo in front here. We are using it.
With it, you can take from here.